Hey, this is Kirk.
And this is Byrd. It's the Kirk and Byrd Show. We are here talking high school basketball. And we've got with us one of the best in the 757. We got Coach Alan Jones of the Grassfield girls basketball program. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so I will be honest up front and let you know that Coach Jones, Alan, is family. That's my cousin. And so I am biased, okay? And but I'm gonna keep on my journalistic hat and I will try to be professional. Look, all right. So Coach Alan Jones is the head basketball coach of the Grassfield girls program, but he has a wide history in the group, a lot of experience in the 757, and we're going to talk about that. But first, Kirk's going to tell us a little bit about where you can find us.
Yep, you can go to YouTube, hit subscribe like Coach Jones has already done. He's going to get everybody at Grassfield in the city of Chesapeake to do. And then follow us on Twitter at the Kirk and Byrd Show. And then other social media platforms. On Facebook, we started a Northern Virginia 703-540 high school sports page. Check us out there. We're posting more and more content. We do a weekly top 10 for Northern Virginia. And we are jumping into hoop season. We'll be getting deep into that. We'll have players, we'll have coaches, and we're going to incorporate some folks from different parts of the state. We're going to get more down into Roanoke and Lynchburg. So keep an eye out for that.
Yep. And for those who know, they know. Now, we Kirk and I both live here in the 703, but we're rooted out in the 757. We both grew up in Hampton, came out of high school 87. He went to Phoebus. I went to Bethel. So, and I always say this, Kirk was a 3-sport athlete, all region in some of those sports, and basketball for Phoebus. So you know he got game. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. Like he would show up at the court, and we would be like, he'd be the last one picked, and then
I was the entertainment on the bus.
Yeah,
I will say this: Phoebus was a very, very good girls basketball program.
Oh yeah, and you graduated the same year as Terry Williams.
Terry Williams in my year, Boo's younger sister, but they had a player in like 78, Lynn Anastasio, who was a parade All-American who went to Louisiana Tech and shifted to UVA. And Phoebus won multiple girls championships, arguably the best high school girls player ever in Lakeisha Frett. So I grew up like 6th grade. I was watching girls basketball. I love girls basketball. I love the fundamentals. It's an entertaining game. Virginia Tech had an incredible win over a top 5 NC State the other night.
Yes.
And, the women's game is more popular than ever. The TV ratings last year. So we are happy to be talking to somebody in girls and women's hoops because it's got a lot of eyes on it. And Coach Jones, you come from an area though that's just got a great tradition. We were talking before we started recording about how that Manchester just beat what was it, Princess Anne?
Yes.
And then that region that you're in is an unbelievable region with Manchester, Thomasdale, Lansdowne, or that's the boys, but Princess Anne is 5. But
yes.
And then up here, Rusty, it's like the football. With the way they do the quarters, typically it's going to be Fairfax County, one half of the quarters, the other half of the quarters was 2 Prince William County teams. And then the results coming out of that Richmond, Hampton Roads, and that's what we're talking about. Manchester is tough.
Like, let's talk about this season right now. How are things going, Coach?
Things are going pretty much according to plan. I think we're where we had expected to be. We're still growing. I'm still young, but I think overall my team is playing well. We've added some new kids, and some of my kids are in their 2nd year of playing varsity basketball, but I think we're doing great. We're right where I expected us to be.
And Coach, you were almost entirely going into the Boo Williams tournament. I believe you hadn't lost, and we talked about how big of a tournament that was. Manchester beat Princess Anne. Bishop McNamara was in that. There were some private schools. So you're going to get back into the heart of your district play. And we'll talk about the fact that districts, it's really about the region now. But, what is ahead for your team? Are you playing now primarily Southeastern District schedule?
Yes.
Right.
I'll play 6 games in maybe about a week and a half as our schedule really gets tough. And all of these schools are very competitive. We kind of mentioned Class 6, which is the region we're in. You got Thomasdale at the top; they're undefeated. You got Manchester, who just versus Van Williams, and then you got Highland Springs, a perennial girls basketball.
That's
You
right.
got
They just moved up.
Run. Yeah, you got Deep Run, and they got a good girls team.
Is
And
Cosby good this year? Because they
Cosby,
were traditionally
Cosby,
great.
yes, Cosby is still in our region. They're 5-4 currently. And I don't think their record reflects their team. I think way better than 5-4. I think top to bottom, our region is, and we have Lansdowne, Oscar Smith, and some other schools, but top to bottom, our region is tough, and we're only taking the top 8. So basically, what happens is if you're 7 or 8, you're going to play Thomasdale or you're going to play Manchester. And
Yeah.
it's win or go home. And you try to schedule, and I know Kirk, you talked about Boo Williams. You try to get in your schedule some tournaments that maybe
Right.
you can see, because we don't see Richmond schools. We don't play Richmond schools during the season unless we schedule them. And it makes it tough at the end of the season when we all get together and we do selections for all district or all region.
Yeah.
Um, because we don't play them and they don't play us, and they only are able to go off of what stats we can give them from players. So we try to schedule them, and if you're going to be competitive in that first round of the regions, you've got to play some tough competition to get yourself ready.
James River, I believe, are they 6? Because they're number 1 in the Richmond metro area, I think.
They left 6 and went down to, I think they're down in 5. Because
Gotcha. Yeah. Right. Okay.
everything's done off of the population of the school. But if enrollment kind of switches a little bit, that's why we lost Kellum. Kellum was in 6. Kellum and Ocean Lakes in our
Right. Yep.
Went down. Yeah.
they moved down to 5. And like you were saying about Highland Springs, I know the team that I was missing, Glen Allen. Glen Allen,
Oh, yeah.
they're in 6 now, and they have, their girls basketball team has always been well disciplined. He will play you, until the end of a game. So
Rusty and I have talked about the fact that we talked about it's a region now, but in your district, you've got 4, 5, and 6.
I was going to say that. I was going to bring that up. Yep.
It's like Kings Fork's a great athletic program. I don't know how they are in girls basketball, but Nansemond River, Lakeland's had some good teams. My question to you is, we've talked about in football, when you have to have a certain number of bodies to be competitive, that being in 3, 4, 5, and 6 is a big difference. But basketball is a little different. Some people may have a rotation of 7, 8 players, maybe only 10 or 11 on the team. How do you feel about the different classes in basketball? Because arguably the best public school in the state is John Marshall in Richmond in boys. And in girls, Carroll County, Rusty, in 3 is right there with Princess Anne, Minchville, and some of those teams. Coach, how do you feel about that, the difference in basketball, that the school population, it makes a difference or does not make a difference?
Well, we can look at it a couple different ways. And it's funny that you mentioned that. At the top of my board in my classroom, I have written on my board Class 6 girls basketball, and I have the records of all of the teams in Class 6 from Thomasdale all the way down to Meadowbrook. Now, Meadowbrook is 0-8 or 0-9. Their program's suffering a little bit, and they're a 6 school, so their population is high. Lansdowne girls are having a tough year this year. They're rebuilding, so they're 1-9. And they've lost some of these schools that are 5 schools. They've lost. They've lost to some of these schools that are 4 and 3 schools.
Yeah.
So I think the class sometimes is a little misleading. Sometimes you can have a great population of kids, and you may not have a great population of just pure basketball players. So you see schools like Meadowbrook suffer a little bit, and you see schools, different classes that struggle. Lakeland, prime example, 3 school, but like you said, they've had a great girls program the last 2 or 3 years. Kings Fort, they were a 4 school. They
That's
moved
right.
up
You
to
moved up.
class 5.
Go to 5.
Yep. So now they're in the region with Princess Anne, Mitchfield,
Mansfield. Yeah.
Pelham,
Yeah.
Grassfield. You got all of those schools. Norview, which has had a good girls program in our area, and Kellum's down there, and Kellum has an unbelievable girls program.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit more about your team drilling into them. What kind of team is it? Are you a big team, you small team?
If I haven't seen you play this year, what would I expect to see?
Yeah, exactly.
You would definitely see high energy, high flow, high pace, and you would hear me constantly yelling, push it, because we don't play a slow tempo game. We play an up tempo game. I kind of equated. I grew up watching Magic Johnson and the Showtime Lakers.
Me, it's my team. Yep.
So I have that type of team. I have 2 great guards. I have an athletic post player. I have some great role players who get in and do whatever the team needs to do. Definitely not a slow down game. We don't have the shot clock, so you could pretty much hold the ball if you wanted to for a majority of the game and let the clock run down. But I think my team's very athletic. I kind of have. I've had teams where I've had to slow it down and do different things. This team here allows me, with their athleticism and the speed, to push the ball. And I find that later in the game, most teams aren't able to stay with us because of our speed and athleticism. So you would see a very up and down the floor type game if you come watch us play. It definitely won't be. You will be like you on the tennis court with Serena, somebody.
That's this year. What? How would you define success for this season? Well, after that last horn go blows, whether you're behind me at Richmond at VCU, or earlier than that, how if when you're talking about your banquet or just how you personally, like, how would you define success based on what you have this year?
Success this year will really be about us getting to the playoffs, because only the top 8 make.
That's right.
In the whole region.
Last
Right. That's a
year,
big region.
everybody got in.
Right.
Everybody got in. So it didn't matter. You could have been 0-22 or 5 or whatever. But this year, and it's so hard with the region that we're in, that if you make it into the playoffs, then there's a trip to Richmond. I mean, you almost can schedule the bus now.
Yeah.
And you're well, you just want to be on the right side of Richmond. You're either going to be on Thomas Dale side of Richmond, and they're undefeated,
right?
In Manchester, and they're probably going to. They've lost 2 games, and they'll probably end 20-2. And then you got Highland Springs, and you've got Glen Allen, and you've got Deep Run. I feel success for me this year will be how quickly my young kids can grow, how well, they're going to play this half of the season against tough teams, and how prepared we're going to be once we have to take that trip to Richmond. So the first, part of the success factor is get in the dance.
Yeah, I hear.
Once
that
I
is
get in the
great.
dance, then any given night anything can happen, and this part of this half of the year is all about preparation for that time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're playing in an unbelievably tough region. I mean, I'm looking at that region. If you get into the second round of that region tournament, you're probably one of the best 15 teams in six easily,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
Absolutely.
we talked about that. We will keep the focus down there, but Madison, two-time defending state champion, they dropped off a little bit. Freedom Woodbridge is up there now, and then there's Osborne Park, some great teams up here. But like
Yes.
you said, if you go on a run,
Gainesville, a third-year program, is one of the top teams in the state. Gainesville girls,
the six, yeah,
they're six.
I know.
OP just beat them, but Gainesville girls are one of the best teams. Like, they put it together real fast.
So I've gone to a few games, and I'm gonna start going to 2 or 3 games a week. But I've been to a few games, and I've been talking to people like we talk about water cooler talk, and that's what we're gonna do here. I was at church on Sunday talking to some people about basketball, and I'm just like, when I see the style of play now for boys, this is the question I want to phrase to you, as opposed to as it applies to girls. But boys, older guys like us, we're in our 50s, we see running up and down the court. What we think is a lack of defense because, I was just saying, in a 2-3 zone, I never see hands up, So obviously these kids, faster, better shooters, etc. But my question is, how do you think the girls' game has changed? Like we all know the men's boys' games has changed.
I think one of the biggest things is that people are starting to see that the girls' game has some athletes that are players. For so long, the girls' game was like an afterthought. People may watched it, may came to a game. There was a lot of empty seats in the stands. The only time, and it's funny because I coached in areas where the girls' game came before the boys' game. Well, in the Southeast District, we play girls, so my JV plays before I play.
Yeah.
So we don't get to see the boys. It's all girls, so a lot of times you don't get the people in the stands. But when I was in Virginia Beach or Hampton, it was a girl before a boys' game, so you would have a ton of people coming to the girls' game at halftime.
Yep.
And they're in because they're there to see the boys. And I think that has helped our game tremendously over the years because people have started to come to, when they were coming to the girls' game, they tried to get in early because the gym would be packed and they wanted to be there early. So they got a chance to see these athletic girls.
Yeah. It's a great point. Yeah.
Or who can do some of the same things that the boys are doing. So I think that has assisted us in being able to grow the game. And of course, as we watch it on TV, South Carolina, Dawn Staley is doing a tremendous job in girls basketball. Gino through the years, through just winning championship after championship. And me and you talked about it earlier with Virginia Tech, the job that the coach has done up there, tremendous.
Yeah.
So I think the game, I think people are seeing girls basketball differently now, and we're even getting more media coverage. There's more people coming out showing basketball is a swell of interest, and it's outstanding.
On a college level, like there's a number of women's girls basketball players that are up there above football, and the popularity. It's a great time right now because the popularity is growing in LSU, Virginia Tech. A bunch of them.
Caitlin Clark, I love her game. Everything you said is spot on, Coach Jones. I just want to add, as a high school official for over 25 years now, and watching the game, I'm at these varsity girls games, and I'm seeing stuff like, because up here we've always had the girls played in that one gym and the boys at another one. And I'm like, if people would just come see this, they would realize like these are some ballers. Now, I will say this. When there are great teams or great players, they do have a big follow. I've seen Carol Lawson. I've reffed her games. I've done, I don't know, Monique Curry. Some of the best girls basketball players to come in the nation have come out of, this Northern Virginia, DC region. And so I have a great appreciation for them, but I'm like, I wish everybody knew. Now, like I said, come playoffs, Carol Lawson was packing the gym. The one thing I would say, Kirk, that I've noticed is that what people don't realize, people always talk, the girls are so fundamental. Yeah, but it's a lot of girls with crazy handle. A lot of coaches did more restricting, and you didn't get to see the athleticism that was out there because they were playing the girls a certain way. No, these girls got game. But the other thing I really think, because of the style of play with Steph Curry and Caitlin Clark, girls have been able to shoot the lights out for years, and now we can finally appreciate it, bro. You can watch when they do the end of year college basketball, or even the McDonald's, like they'll have the boys and girls shoot the 3-pointer. Like, girls be beating the boys consistently, But go ahead, Coach. I just wanted to share that because they like shooting. There's no difference.
Rusty, I got a story for you. I just November, maybe the second week of November, because we started earlier this year. I actually went to Coach Lawson, Carol Lawson.
Oh,
I went
yeah.
to her coach's clinic at Duke, and got a chance to hang out with her, and she talked about her days, in Virginia and playing basketball and stuff, and it was amazing. We actually got a chance to see, it was me and one of my assistants. We actually got a chance to see her team play against the USA team with Brittany Griner. I got to see
Oh,
Brittany
wow.
Griner, Diana Taurasi, and all of those big time players were out on the court at the coaches clinic. We actually got to see them play against the USA team, which was outstanding.
Yeah. She's the one. I mean, great athlete. She played soccer. Let me tell you, she played football with the
Wow.
dudes up until she got to high school. She was playing youth football, dominating. Okay, not just out there, dominating. All right. Well, look, Kirk knows that we would be doing this for. I want to know a little bit more. I want our fans to know a little bit more about you and just your background. Like,
Okay.
where'd you grow up? Who were some of your influences? You already mentioned one. I am a Lakers fan, but Lakers fan in the 80s, Showtime, it was amazing. So tell us, first of all, growing up, what sports did you play? We know you've coached a lot of sports, but what sports did you play?
Well, it was only basketball. I am the youngest out of 7 kids. I had 5 brothers and 1 sister. And they played basketball day and night. It was one of those things to where, being young, growing up, uh, I I was too young to play with them. I was too young, too small, and so I wound up having to go to church with my mom. It was long Sundays at church, and they were able to stay home and play basketball. And I was like, man, I can't wait till I get old enough where I can stay home and play ball with them. But I grew up in Maryland, um, close to the Ocean City side of Maryland, where you go and vacation and
Yeah,
whatnot.
yeah.
And I was telling Kurt, I said that was in high school, that was one of my first jobs, was working in Ocean City. That's what grew up, and that's where, I came here to Virginia. A friend of mine was here, and um, wind up staying here in Virginia. I'm gonna tell you how I got into coaching. I actually was out on the courts because I really felt like I could still play. And I was out on the court in Virginia Beach. And unfortunately, a lot of times when you're playing pickup ball, um, people get into disagreements or whatever. And unfortunately, this is one of those times. And it's always that instance where you see somebody going to the car. You understand that
Yeah.
if they're going to their car, that means it's time to leave
Yep.
quickly. And I said at that point, um, while I love to play the game, I said, I've got to do something else. And I got into coaching, and I just loved it. I started coaching rec basketball. And I said, hey, um, I love doing this and I'm good at it. And that's where it all started. But as far as influence in my life, growing up, like I said, Magic Johnson all the way, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the Showtime Lakers. I grew up watching them, play against the Boston Celtics and Larry Bird and you those years and that and even still to this day, I'm a huge fan of Magic Johnson. Um, the success sustained past basketball. He probably owns 100
Yeah.
business.
Yep. Oh yeah.
You
Oh
know?
yeah.
That was a great time for college basketball too, because I was just looking up players from the Eastern Shore, and you got to think about Maryland, Georgetown, Virginia, North
Len Bias.
Carolina, Len Bias. And Maryland was strong all throughout the 80s before the 86, 87. But those were great times. And there's been some good players from the Eastern Shore. The Kevy Aluma, the kid from Virginia Tech, is a Maryland Eastern Shore.
Absolutely.
Ace Custis, they've who played overseas, I think 10 plus years, great player for Boo Williams and Virginia Tech. There's been some really good basketball players from the the Eastern Shore, both the Delmarva Peninsula, and I just think of where'd you go to college, Coach?
Norfolk State. Behold the green and gold.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Rusty, I got one for you. Our cousin John Gilchrist played for Maryland.
Yeah. I know. Yep.
Yeah.
I used to tell people all the time, like, that's my cousin. Yo, crazy.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a good one. Yep. Let me ask you this.
He's still here, and the family's still here. With a lot of family of the Gilchrists in this area. So I used to drive down to NC State to watch him play when they played NC State. When Maryland played there, and then I was going to when they were playing at Maryland because he played here at Salem High School.
Yeah.
We've been with them the whole time.
So let me ask you, growing up, what was your favorite college basketball team? Because you said my brother Melendez, that is his all-time favorite player. And if you follow him on Facebook, you would know.
Yeah,
but
I do.
Man bias, I grew up, and we're gonna have some of these people on from UVA, but I was a big UVA and Maryland fan. And I also liked NC State. I hated UNC, but if you look back at those teams at Maryland, Adrian Branch, Lynn Bias, Ben Coleman, Jeff Atkins. But was that your favorite team? I don't want to sway you, but you growing up in Maryland, but were you an ACC fan or were you a Big East fan?
You might have been a Georgetown fan.
Yeah, it could have been. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think since I became a Georgetown fan while I was here in Virginia, the Allen Iverson.
Okay, yeah.
And it's I got the opportunity to drive him because I drive, one of my part-time jobs for the last 20 plus years has been driving limousines. So I've had opportunities to be around these professional athletes and actresses and stars and whatever. So it really growing up, to answer your question, I pretty much was a Maryland fan.
Okay.
Through and through, like you said, hometown Maryland and state, and that's where it was for me.
Okay, but this is the real way I'll know you're by your heart. I don't know if you had one, but if you had one, what was it? And if you didn't, what would you have had if you could get any starter jacket back in the day? Did you have one? And which one would you have gotten if you could have got one? I know Maryland might have been your team, but starter jackets, remember them back in the day?
It was more Georgetown than anything else.
Absolutely. Hey, I had to stay with the turtle.
Oh, you had? Okay.
I had to stay with the turtle.
I loved Maryland, but that Georgetown starter jacket was like the bomb.
Yeah, I know. I like that too. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, cool. For basketball, if you want to transition into some of our, where we get to know a little bit more about Coach Jones outside of basketball.
Well, that's more fun. I always say the food somebody eats, the music that they listen to, and what they stream or what they watch on TV or whatever gives me a peek into their soul. So let's throw a curveball, Rusty. This
Okay.
is what we don't normally ask. Give me your favorite 3 sitcoms from the 70s. From the 70s. Syndication.
Syndication. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. I would say the Jeffersons, All in the Family, and
Norman Lear.
Sanford and Son.
There you go. Hey, I was hoping you would hit Sanford and Son. Yes.
I met a guy. I have a friend. I'm about to be 55. He's about to be 45. Now, granted, he's from Utah. He's never seen Sanford and Son. I'm like, man, you have not lived, man. It's one of the funniest things. And another good one was Good Times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good Times was a good one. And then, you're rolling. Rusty, you're right. You're rolling like Different Strokes.
Because then you go into the 80s, but you also in the 70s, you had What's Happening. That's My Mama. All like.
When did Love Boat? Remember Love Boat? And
that was like 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, that was late 70s, early 80s. But I would say this: it's either Trudy or one of those networks that has all of those shows.
Yes.
You can watch them. They're free.
Yep.
And they're free.
That is correct. And Rusty, they say that Michael, we're actually related to Michael.
Yeah, I tell people all the time. Yeah,
what on Good Times?
Ralph Carter. Ralph Carter has been to a number of our family reunions. The one you go to now. Ralph Carter's been to them. Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Coach, when you're not coaching, what's some of the stuff that you're watching? Very few people watch network shows anymore. Seems like we're doing more streaming, and of course we watch a lot of podcasts and sports stuff. But what's some of the things that you've gotten into? Like if there's a snowstorm,
and it can be though network stuff because there's people that watch the whole Chicago family of shows.
I do.
My wife and we watch all of the CSIs or all of the. She loves the Law and Orders. But what is Coach Jones like?
It's funny. We're watching Survivor.
Man, that's been a while since I've watched. That was good when I watched
Survivor. We're watching The Amazing Race.
CBS.
Yeah, we're watching those shows where people trying to win $1 million at the end of the show. They gotta live off the island, or they gotta race across the country and do these different things. So
when did those start? Was that 2000s? That wasn't 90s. That was 2000s, wasn't it?
Yes.
The Survivor started.
Yes.
Yeah, early 2000s.
Yeah, the one guy that won it didn't pay his taxes, man. I remember that.
He was from the one guy was from Norfolk. He'd been a Navy guy.
Yes.
One of the first winners. Have you seen Squid Games?
Oh
no.
So watch the show, but they have a Squid Games with real people. It's great. Like my wife and sons would just lose. They binged that joint because it was so addicting. So all I'm gonna say is watch the show first, then watch the real game show with the real people.
We have it on recorded, but we haven't watched it yet.
Okay, you got man. So I've been teleworking for the last couple of years, but they on vacation, and all I hear them in the other room screaming, hollering, and I'm trying to work. I got to go in there and watch it with them. Okay, but that's one. But anything, what else do you like to watch?
Well, the majority of the time, I have YouTube TV because I found that Dish and all those other things and cable is just too much money, and I can get the same thing for YouTube TV and pay like $70 a month.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you one of the biggest things with YouTube TV, they have what's called multi-view. So right now on my TV,
split triple screen,
like 4 games playing. Like it just
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it just went to just Duke and Pitt because Duke is playing Pitt right now. But before that, I had 4 games playing on my screen in different at multi-view. So I
Yeah.
just
Wow.
love it. I love it.
What about Coach? Your musical taste. Um, you're going to be similar to us, right? You know, as far as growing up with like old school R&B as well as a lot of the '70s classics, the rock and roll, and then
We grew up with hip hop, like we were
with the hip
there
hop, the
with the
golden
Sugar
age,
Hill Gang.
the,
But
the
let
golden
Coach,
age of hip
how
hop.
do you know that my cousin ain't only gospel? How do you know? You don't know.
He might be.
He could just be Mahalia Jackson. Period.
Mahalia Jackson.
Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
I'm that, like I said before, I'm that church kid. Grew up in the church. We spent all day Sunday in church. We even ate lunch, had church in the morning, ate lunch at church, and then went back
Yeah.
before you go home. Got there in the morning and left at night. So I grew up with gospel music. I still, we went from listening to it on the record players at the house to listening to it on cassette. The radio in the house only stayed on gospel music. If it was on something other than gospel music, you got in trouble. But as I gotten older, of course, like you said, in the '80s in high school, we started listening. I remember in Maryland, we were on the side of Maryland that I was on. The radio was able to pick up WRAP
In Norfolk.
Oh, that's
Norfolk,
what I was. Yeah,
from this area.
yeah,
And I
yes,
remember listening to rap music on that. And of course, I grew up with the Run DMC and Eric B. and Rakim and LL Cool
yeah,
J. It's funny that as I got older, I used to work with one of my friends, and he was one of the DJs from in that area in Maryland. He was very popular. So we got to open up for some of these groups. We got to open up for New Edition. We were
Oh
on the
wow.
stage, uh, and Ghetto Boys. Your mind's playing tricks on you.
yeah.
Salt and Pepper, uh,
Wow.
MC Hammer. You know, It Takes Two, Raw Bass and Easy E.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to open up for these acts. I got to see them up close and personal. Back, when they were young, when New Edition was young, and some of those groups, Salt and
Where
Pepper.
was that? Was that Baltimore or was it? Because I was just curious to say, you grew up in Princess Anne, which may have been closer to Norfolk, Virginia Beach than Baltimore, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
because the ride back home for me is 2.5 hours.
Right.
And then when I get back home, it takes me about 3 hours to get to Baltimore because it's on
Oh
the
yeah. I got
Western Shore. So
you. Yeah.
back in the day in Salisbury, Maryland, which is where we had this big convention center where all of these
Yep.
acts would come and play, or at University of Maryland Eastern Shore, which
Right.
is right in the area where I grew up
Right,
at.
right.
That's where Raw Bass and them came, and
Yep.
Heavy D. I actually got a chance to stand out at a convenience store and talk with Heavy D. It was one of the greatest experiences a lot in life. He's a great guy.
It's funny. I'm sitting here saying, where did they play? As in, it needed to be a major city, but hip hop was just coming up, and they weren't major acts back then. And Rusty, a bunch of people played Richmond. A bunch of people played
Oh
Richmond
yeah.
in the '80s. But
Oh,
Def Comedy came through there.
oh yeah. So speaking of Heavy D, I was at VCU, and I remember one summer, they didn't play at VCU, but I don't think they were quite going to be at the Coliseum, maybe the Ash Center or something. But before they had the concert, they were playing. Heavy D and the boys were playing basketball at the outdoor courts at VCU, and one of my boys fouled him real hard, and Heavy rolled all over. But anyway, like, but you could do that back then,
Hey,
But
I got one for you on that, Rusty. I drove Earth, Wind, and Fire.
oh snap!
And I'm going to tell you, you're talking about the experience of a lifetime. We sat and watched basketball. They played basketball. They performed at Fort Monroe.
Oh wow.
and for Mother's Day. And it was the experience of a lifetime. I mean, I drove them from the building that they were in to the stage, and I stood by the stage and the show. I had never been to an Earth, Wind, and Fire concert, and I tell you, it was best experience that I've ever had. And I've driven plenty of people and Patti LaBelle,
Wow.
everybody, but Earth, Wind, and Fire is like my number one. And like you were saying,
Okay.
I hung out with them and they were playing basketball. We watched basketball together. It was Philip Bailey's birthday. Just a huge experience.
My brother still talks about the time where this was a number of years ago, but he was a professor at Norfolk State, and Brian McKnight was in town, and he wanted to play, and he played over at the gym at Norfolk State. And my brother said Brian McKnight was going for it, like he was. He was balling me. He didn't care if you fouled them, and they was like, okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a favorite movie of all time? Do you guys go to movies now, or do you not have time? But if you do,
Favorite movie's got to be Lean on Me.
oh yeah, yes,
Morgan Freeman.
Yes.
Yep.
The high school principal in New Jersey in that one.
Yes.
Yeah, based on a true
based
story.
off a true story.
Yep. But let me ask you this. All right. If you were given, now maybe I'm not gonna say one or whatever, but you now have $5 billion, not 5 million, $5 billion after taxes, it's yours. What would you do with it?
Hey, this makes it better. We know you're going to do a bunch of great things like make society better and take care of family and all this.
Blah, 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 blah. We get it.
What's the fun stuff you're going to do?
Yeah, what you going to do?
Fun stuff. Travel. Try to see as many places as possible. Try to go to, some exotic places. Mozambique.
With that kind of money, you can afford a 757.
I think you should be able to afford your own plane. Yeah. And it's just, what's the plane gonna be called? I'm already seeing you bought a plane. What you gonna call
it? Team Jones.
Oh yeah.
Team
I
Jones.
like that. I like that. I have a ministry that I started 20 years ago. It's called Team Jesus, and I administer through sports. Jeez, I like that.
Yes.
Kirk.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say that somebody asked me that the other day, and there's just so many places that I'd like to go in the world, but probably right here in the United States. But if I start thinking about the places I really want to go, be sports. I'd love to walk the Masters in Augusta. Love to see Wimbledon in England. Final Four every year. That's a moving sight. But some of the set sporting events, I'm not big into horse racing, but like the Kentucky Derby, and some of those things, and going to some of the sporting events, the World Cup and all those things. But where would you live, Coach? Because you're probably going to have several homes.
A while back, we would go to Las Vegas every year for the Nike clinic.
Oh,
and we would stay in Las Vegas for like 4 days. Huge coaches clinic, and you had some of the top college coaches from all over the country. They would be at the Paris, and they had college players, and they would be busy showing your on court demonstrations and stuff. But I said it would have to be Las Vegas, or it would have to be Pompano Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Okay.
I have family in the area, and growing up, I said, man, I would love to move there. Probably would be Las Vegas when it's not summer. I would be there. It's just so hot in Las Vegas, but I would venture back and forth between Las Vegas and South Florida.
3 weeks from the day I'll be in Las Vegas. Not a big Vegas fan. I would take Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, I love it. And I've only been Vegas once or twice. Hold on. So I'm gonna tell you what I would do with my $5 billion. I'm gonna bless you with part of it, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take part of my $5 billion and I'm gonna buy that expansion franchise for the NBA but I will also own the WNBA team, and guess who's going to be the head coach? Family.
Yeah,
You
man.
are now going to be the head coach of the WNBA squad in Vegas.
Where's the expansion going to be for the NBA, by the way?
In Las Vegas. That's where LeBron wants to get a team.
No, it should be in Hampton Roads. Come on.
No, we can't field enough people to go out.
Yes, you can.
No.
It's
Football,
gonna be
we only
Virginia
need
Beach,
10 home games a year, and we can fill an 80,000 seat stadium. But trying to get people to go, man, we got 5 million people around here, and don't nobody want to go see the Wizards.
All right. Hockey would do well at Hampton Roads too.
Yeah.
Hockey and basketball.
But see, the only problem with basketball, and I'll tell you this, to me, in having a professional NBA team, not just professional NBA, is that it's too many home games, and those first half of the season, ain't nobody really feel like they playing. Like that was one thing I give the credit for that in-season tournament is people kind of got hyped about a regular season basketball NBA game, and so my money, I would buy an NBA team because they're cheaper than NFL teams. But the good thing is I'm gonna own the team, I'm gonna own the stadium, and we're gonna have Earth, Wind, and Fire. We're gonna have the bomb shows up in there. It's gonna be, man, we're gonna be living large, Alan. So when I get my $5 billion, that's how we gonna roll, bro.
That's it.
All right. Well, look, last, Kirk, you want to ask him about food?
We talk about that. Best fast food fries. Don't think too much.
McDonald's.
Oh, see? Rusty doesn't like that answer. Rusty doesn't like that answer.
And it's funny. I just saw something. You know how you're strolling through social media, whether it's whatever, Instagram, Facebook, whatever.
Yeah.
I just saw something about that, and it may have been with the Cat Williams stuff. It might have been a comedian was busy saying, "What is the secret?" Matter of fact, it was Cat Williams, and he was talking about how does McDonald's continue to rule the French fries market? Because everybody said, "Oh, they got the best fries, whatever." And when you said that, that's the first thing that came to mind because when you're looking for French fries most of the time, and I think Wendy's kind of went back and forth changing and this and that.
Yeah, they changed theirs a few times.
Yeah. They went to sea salt, and then they, they're trying to find out what's the answer. But I will tell you this though, Arby's has.
Well, that's what I was. Yeah,
fries.
that's what they have the crinkly and the curly.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna go with. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. We're together on that one.
So I think my thing about McDonald's is this: it's just been the longest one, running. But I think because we go there more than any other place, and so we've consumed more McDonald's.
If they're fresh, they are very good.
If they're fresh, they're very good. But once they get cold or you try to heat them back up, it's a wrap. And that's most fries. But But anyway, I'm a big fan of Arby's and Checkers Riley's fries. You know. Yeah. So there was no wrong answer, by the way. But it gives us a little bit of insight to you. So now some of your players and family are like, oh, that's that McDonald's fry dude. Okay, I know him. Yeah. Coach Jones, you have really blessed us. Hopefully our audience and a lot of people out there that have known you for years now know a little bit more, or people that have never heard of you are going to be rooting for Grassfield girls basketball team this year. 7-3 in an extremely tough region of the state is amazing. So keep doing your thing. I really appreciate you taking your time out to join the show. I'll give you this chance now to promote anything you want. I know you do a lot of great things in the community, especially regarding breast cancer. But tell us, anything you want to promote or talk about, or give shout out to. Anybody.
Yes, that is definitely one. I want to thank you guys. I appreciate you as always. Love. I really try to make a difference, and I'm hoping that I'm doing well in that area. Like you said, I do the breast cancer benefits. Breast cancer advocate for Norfolk State University. I do men's basketball and the football for Norfolk State University. And it's all about bringing awareness. It's all about helping somebody, and I'm hoping that through what I'm doing, that I'm setting an example for young men and young women, young men that I mentor in school and young women that I coach. And I'm hoping that, through all of this, that maybe I've touched a life or made a difference in someone's life. That's the key. I think at the end of the day, if I've done that, then I've accomplished most important thing in life, and that's helping someone else.
Outstanding, man. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Kirk, anything you want to close with?
No, it's just going to say that we're going to dig into basketball, and we're going to cover girls basketball more this year. Northern Virginia's got a heavy presence in girls in 6. So, yeah, we'll be stepping up hoops. We're going to have coaches on from all areas of the state. We may come out with the top 10. But yeah, we'll be covering that. So stay tuned.
And if it's a little biased, if every time in the top 10 you see Grassfield, even if we go on a 10-game losing streak, it's like, they just play a tough schedule. I don't know. I just vote them always in the top 10. Anyway, that won't happen. You definitely gonna be earning those top 10 votes. But thanks again, Alan. Thanks again, family, for joining the show. Again, you've blessed us with your presence. I appreciate it. Good luck for the remainder of the year. I've been covering the state championships the last couple of years down in Richmond, so I hope to see you there.
That's right.
And to be covering your games. And if it's not this year, then you just may be setting some stuff in motion for down the line. But thanks again. Alan, thank you for joining us, and Kirk, thank you for just always just having my back, bro. So for Coach Alan Jones, my cousin, and Kirk Hilliard, this has been the Kirk and Byrd Show. We are out.